will not touch your pro mat.
This group of
Why is
infantry
she fat?
recruits was exposed.
Hi and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we're going to do something very, very different. Right? This is what army recruits go through at boot camp. This is from a channel I've never watched before. This is Business Insider. I've heard of them before, but I've never watched one of their videos, I don't think. Right? And again, I'm doing a lot of history on this channel. And this was filmed 3 or 4 years ago. And the definition of history is you can say, teaching, writing, or knowledge about past events. Specifically, human events. Right? And the definition of past events is not the present time, right? So 3 or 4 years ago is the past, and these are humans, and it's a human that filmed it, so it's history, right? I thought I was interested in this because I've heard a lot of rumors that the army, or the military as a whole in the West, is pretty weak. At least in the recruiting, right? The recruits have gone down, the numbers, everything, right? And we've gone through all these historical events that we've seen on this channel. Has been history and more military history, right? Battles, some politics. But I thought it's good also to have a little comparison to what we have today or 3 years ago. Compared to what there was during Napoleon, during Caesar, whatever. World War II, right? Alright, original videos down below, and let's see this. He's already angry. I think the guy to the right with the black head is a drill sergeant. I think that's the name.
Why are you moving? Why are you moving? Huh? Huh? Huh?
Oh my.
This.
Wow. Wow. He looks very... I don't know if he looks scared, but he looks maybe tired. I mean, he has the bag over his head. It's pretty heavy, let's say. Right? They're screaming or yelling, the drill sergeants, which is pretty good. That's what you need, right? But I heard that they were or had already got rid of that. Right? Which, you know, it's pretty weird because in the civilian world, you know that it's sort of no one is pushing you, right? Like no outside force, nothing. Only yourself, you yourself can push yourself, right? Of course, you have friends and family that does that, but it's still you. In the military, it looks like it's the higher ups that does that. And you do it on yourself as well, but you know, you come there as a civilian, then they already are shouting at you. Culture shock, probably, right? All right.
This is Army Boot Camp. Before they joined the United States Army.
Okay, what are they aiming at though? I know nothing about military tactics or what is this, close quarter combat or battle? I don't know nothing about this, but if they're not aiming at the enemy, they're aiming at the ground, how are they ready for the enemy? I understand they're training, but all right.
All recruits have to graduate from a 22-week program known as One Station Unit Training, also known as OSIT.
Okay, 22 weeks, okay.
It happens here at Fort Benning, a 182,000-acre military installation that straddles the Alabama-Georgia border about 100 miles southwest of Atlanta.
That's pretty cool.
Every year, more than 18,000 soldiers graduate before joining.
All right, 18,000 joins before graduating. Leave in the comments if you think it's the same numbers today. Let's just take the US military. Do you think it's the same numbers today or even close? 15,000? Do Do you think it's even close? And again, do you think it's the same quality, right? Because quantity is one thing. And I think it was Stalin or Mao or someone who said there's a quality in quantity. Now, that could be true, but you still need some quality, right? That could be true, but you still need quality. Otherwise, there will be slaughter like you saw in World War II for the Soviets and the Chinese. But, okay.
The more than 470,000 people actively serving in the Army.
13,
Wow.
14, 15.
Although most of the recruits that we saw during our time there were male, recruits trained together in gender-integrated platoons.
What do you guys, leave a comment, what do you guys think of that? Gender integrated platoons. Now I'm going to just lay this standard out there, right? I don't agree with having women in especially combat roles in the military. Because what I've noticed, I don't know much, but what I've seen or read is that if you have a female recruit in the military, you lower the standard for either everybody or just the female recruits. Let's have an example. Let's say you need to run, what is it? I don't know in kilometers, but 1.5 miles, imperial miles, in, I don't know, let's say 14 minutes, the males. But the females have to do it in 16. I understand the reason and reasoning why they do that, because males can run either faster or longer than females, just physically and biologically. However, if you bring the standard down on one side, it's going to be unfair on the other, and there's going to be some friction, right? Maybe not with the individuals themselves, but one side to the higher ups, because everything in the military is top-down authority, right? Which is good, it needs to be that, but it also needs to be some kind of, you need to have some kind of, like the special forces, they have a little more, you can say, liberty of doing their own mission and planning and all that, right? So there are a little bit more movement, let's say. But if you have this top-down authority, which is very political, which you shouldn't have in the military, of having, oh, we need 25% female recruits. So you kick out 20%, 25% of males that could have gone in and could have done, which we know are stronger, faster, whatever, physically. Which, I don't know if they could have done a better job, but they would have been there physically much better, let's say in the battlefield. Because an example in the battlefield, if one of your buddies is down, shot in the leg and arm, let's say, they can't drag themselves. They can't drag, but it's just inch by inch. And the one who is going to drag or carry that person is a female. This female that you see, nothing against her as an individual, just having her example, right? Her. Is she going to be able to drag or lift the guy to the left here, which you see his face? Do you think she can do that? Nothing against her, but physically, can she do that? During the stress of battle? I'm gonna say no. Leave a comment down below what you think. The standards are watered down. You even see this in special forces, they're starting to try to do that, right? I think it was a couple of years ago, but it was like 1 or 2 females who completed ranger school, I think. And there's a lot pointing that they lowered the standard for them, or they gave them a little push. Obviously, those women that finished ranger school or completed it, I think they are much more capable than normal female recruits in the Navy, Army, Marines, whatever, right? Maybe not Marines, but right? But leave a comment what you think.
Young men and women that volunteer to serve, they show up to us as civilians, and then we take them through a transformative process to turn them into soldiers.
You just go to position of attention and you stay in position of attention.
On a rain-soaked week in February, we spent 4 days inside the Army's Maneuver Center of Excellence, which trains soldiers to serve in the infantry and armor branches. We saw different companies at various stages of training.
Oh my.
On day
Uh-oh.
1, new infantry recruits on a bus from the Atlanta airport arrive at the 30th AG Battalion headquarters, where
I mean, I would just say I've never been on that bus, but it feels probably very... You're probably very nervous. Probably surreal. And you have people screaming at you, which is going to be terrifying. So, I don't know how people can be cocky coming into this, right? Because if you know anything about the military, is that you can't just do whatever you want. So if you have some form of information, which we all have in our phones, you can type in sort of what I'm doing now. I can see what they're actually doing for recruits coming into, this is the army though, but into the military in general, right? You have some form of basis of what they're probably going to do to you, right? Although now they have lowered the standard, so you never know, right?
all new recruits are received.
Listen up! You ain't got one to hear from you at this point. It's yes, drill sergeant, no drill sergeant. Do you understand? Yeah.
One thing though, I would love to see also if there is a video on, which I'm probably going to do later on, either comparing this to, I don't know, army boot camp in like the 90s or 60s or something, right? Or even the guys who went in World War II, right? I mean, think of that. The guys who trained, let's say Marines who trained for the Pacific, right? Let's say they trained in 43. Let's say they trained in 44 to go into battle late 44 or early 45 in the Pacific. And then they die on Iwo Jima. I mean, that training must have been tough. Probably tougher than here because every generation it gets watered down, right? I mean, the guys in World War II probably wasn't as tough as, and when I say tough, I mean, maybe not the guys weren't as tough. I mean, the training wasn't probably as tough as in, let's say, Sparta, right? Let's say the Persian army, whatever, right? But it's always the case, right? Because they always try to innovate, the military try to innovate, try to make everything much more simpler, but also more effective. And sometimes you water down things that you actually shouldn't water down just because you want more quantity.
The minimum age to enlist in the Army is 17, and the maximum age is 35. Okay. The base salary for an entry-level private is about $20,000 a year.
I mean, that is pretty low, 20, but I mean, it's entry-level. I mean, these guys, let's say they're from 17, maybe 18 to 20 years old, let's say. 17 to 20. 20,000 a year, they've never seen that amount of money, right? So, I mean, that's fair. But 35 years old for Army boot camp. I understand the US is big and they have a large pool of young adults, whatever you want to call them, right? But 35, I say that's pretty young. Why is it 35? Why isn't it like 40? I mean, I know it's different than Europe. Maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe they know that the 40 years old are probably not so fit to go into boot camp, right? Especially in North America, right? Mexico, US, Canada. People are pretty big there, right? Nothing against them, but that's just the reality.
30 seconds! Hurry up, find your back!
Once they're off the bus, The new recruits learned some basic commands and standing positions.
Attention! Everyone look down at their
Okay.
toes. You should be able to fit a slice of pizza in between your toes.
Oh my, why do these guys have with them, like, all these shoes look new? Especially that guy with the white ones. I mean, those are not going to be white for long, or you're not going to see them. Again, we young adults, me included, we have the information in our pockets, the phone. Even if you have a computer, you have all the information you can have. How can you not prepare yourself like that? I understand they're young, but sure.
Look around, they're gonna see you. Cause you're taller than everyone else! Quickly!
Wow.
Who wants to there?
He just yelled at him for being taller. Wow. I mean, I like that. I like that. I hope that still exists. Yeah, like I said, I read that it doesn't exist anymore. Not that much, at least, right? I don't think they can yell that much. Specifically, I think in the Navy and Air Force, maybe? I don't know. Maybe they've done better than I've seen lately. Comment down below if you know.
Grab one and go.
Oh, look at that.
The
Spartan.
recruits grab the snack that's waiting for them inside. The next morning, the recruits report to the barber shop,
Okay.
where one
Wow.
barber has worked at Fort Benning for almost 60 years.
Wow. That's respect right there. Okay. Wow. 60 years. I mean, this was 4 years ago. Let's say this was 2020. Let's say it was 2019. Wow. I mean, he probably shaved people who went to Vietnam. Right? Wow. That's awesome. Another thing here. If there anybody listening here, comment down below what you think of this. And if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave a comment if you do. If you're going to have the same standard for everybody, because equality is the same standard for everybody, right? Same pay, same workout, same clothes, same glasses, same hair. Do you think they shave the female recruits? Now, I've actually thought of this a lot. I can do counter arguments to my own arguments. Let's see. One argument why shave the men but not, or the boys or slash men but not the females, is that the females know how to take care of their hair, the men don't. I don't know if that's the military's argument. I don't think it is. I'm just saying that's an argument, let's say. But why do you want to have more supplies with you to take care of your hair when you can just shave it off and don't have to worry about that? And you have another discipline tool on the soldiers to say, oh, you haven't shaved today. Your hair is looking... I mean, with the mustache and beards, you can say, oh, you haven't shaved today. I don't know if they can say that same with the hair on your head, but I mean, could be there, right? Can't be too long. Maybe if you're special forces, that's fine, right? Again, that's another double standard. I don't understand why. Lice, I understand, but again, why doesn't the women get a haircut? Just shave everything off. Because equality. They wouldn't have to care that much about their hair. They wouldn't have a lot of products to their hair with them on deployments, in the barracks, whatever. During boot camp, right? Wouldn't that be better? Leave a comment if you agree with me. I could be completely wrong. But if you're going to shave the men but not the women, again, you're upsetting the balance between the soldiers, not individually against each other, but again, the men probably gonna have some resentment towards the uppers, saying, why should we do it or have to do it, but not them, right? The men are not saying the women individually or whatever. They're saying that the higher ups are pushing this down, which they are, right? Even the barber doesn't have hair. I understand he's old, but you know.
Been here ever since 1963. That's a long time. I should have been retired a long time ago.
63.
I wake up in the morning now, be wanting to come out here and go to work.
Recruits are
Fair
issued
enough.
uniforms. They receive a series of immunizations
Look at
and
that.
vaccines.
Just like cattle, just vaccine after vaccine after, wow. I mean, you have to. And we know sometimes the military tends to experiment little drugs on their soldiers. I mean, a funny example, sort of funny, sort of not, but in World War II or after World War II, British soldiers experiment, and higher ups in the British Army experimented, I don't know, was it LSD on their drugs? They experimented with LSD on their soldiers, or I think it was mushrooms. I think it was LSD. But it didn't turn out to what they wanted. They wanted them to not be delirious of the lack of sleep. They wanted them to still be engaged in the combat, right? I think there's a video on YouTube. You can watch it, search it up. Like British Army testing drugs on soldiers or something like that. They all just start laughing or something for no reason because they're high, right? And they're delirious for lack of sleep, I think they were. So it didn't have the benefits that they wanted it to have. The Germans used cocaine as well. I think some Allied troops used it as well. Obviously cigarettes everybody used, but that's just to instead of food you have cigarettes. But you know.
And get their official photo taken, along with myriad housekeeping details that fill up their 1 to 2 week stay in processing.
Hey, sit up straight.
That is until processing ends
Uh-oh.
and the time for training finally
Yeah, they're
arrives.
nervous.
Let's go. Grab your bags and go.
We found a company of recruits
Okay, he's pretty
about
big.
to begin training in the armor school.
Who's the bridle?
These recruits are about to be picked up and taken
Okay.
to their barracks, where they'll reside for the rest of their training.
I mean, is it just me, or do I see much more men in this, right? Or boys, right? Than women. I don't know if that platoon was integrated. I don't care. All right.
Let's go. You guys are going to the front bus. Go.
This is the last chance for recruits to change their minds before training begins.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That guy. Uh-oh. Those white buses, though. If you have ever seen the series Chernobyl about the nuclear disaster, those buses are very eerie, right? There's something eerie about them, right? Because all people in the town had to leave everything. They had to take with them, well, maybe pets if they can or could. They had to take whatever belongings they could and then leave on those buses. The government sent those buses and then they just get on them and just leave and never to come back. Right? I was just gonna say that those buses looks like that.
Like one recruit who decided
Uh-oh.
to stay behind.
Wait, really? You've been through that? Let's say you've been there 1.5 weeks and you probably prepared for maybe, hopefully a couple of months, maybe more, right, for this? And you jump out after you've taken all these vaccinations. Maybe he's a scam artist. Maybe he wanted all the vaccinations. Maybe he wanted, I don't know, if he gets the clothes back, I don't know. Maybe he just said, this isn't for me, but he hasn't even started. That's pretty weak, but sure.
This short bus ride from processing to their new barracks will be the most peaceful moments these recruits will experience for a while.
That's
what
good.
happens next is known as the shark attack.
Oh, that's what it's called.
Run. At no time will you walk. You will run. Everyone you freaking go. Go. Run.
That's pretty good. That is good. Already just instilling, they have no authority here. You go where we say you are going. You're going to stand like this and just stand there. We're going to yell at you. If you keep talking to us, we're going to keep yelling even further and more drill sergeants will come to you. I mean, I like this. Again, this is military. This is not civilian world. It's not that you go and work at Starbucks and then everybody, the employees of Starbucks, when you walk in the door, keep yelling at you, go to that station there, go do the coffee here. Right? Why would they do that in the civilian world? In the civilian world, there's more competition in that you do it yourself, right? Here it's, you do what you're told, and then you can do it on your own. Maybe after a couple of years, right? But they probably got rid of this, I think.
Get your bags up right now. Get your bags up this way. Let's go. You're a tough guy. Don't move. Do something. Do something. That's right.
Wow. Oh my. Oh my. Look how ready
Well,
he
it's really
is.
just a little shock to the system, so we can break them down to build them back up.
Right. Whoa, why is he so big?
We're breaking a lot of habits.
Wow, how
from
did
the
he come
civilian
in?
World, and nothing better than a little shock to the system to
Uh-oh.
establish that that drill sergeant is in charge, to let us start our training.
Another thing though. This is my opinion. But would you be intimidated by a female drill sergeant screaming at you? Maybe if she said something, you know, outlandish, right? But I don't know. Even though she might have been a combat veteran, she might have been, let's say, Afghanistan or something, all that. Still, I don't know. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree. That's just my first feelings I get about this, but you know.
The recruits spend much of the shark attack holding their heavy rucksacks above their heads,
Okay.
which takes a physical
Wow.
toll.
Why is that so difficult? You can't pick that bag up. You decided to join the army. You can't pick that bag up.
Wow. Oh yeah, that guy.
After about 20 minutes, the intensity begins to subside,
Right.
and the drill sergeant's tone changes
We only produce the best soldiers in the United States Army.
before training officially begins. After the shock and awe of the shark attack, things do appear to calm down.
Is it a video?
It's a movie.
What is this? They're acting like they're from the 1920s and they see a camera for the first time. Right? I've done videos on this like in the 1920s or even before that, pictures, right? Photos and movies, film, whatever, right? And they all look at the camera and probably ask the same thing that this guy asked. I mean, they understand their probably lack of sleep, lack of food, right? Of some sort at least. Tired. And just asking random question. And there's a new guy he has never seen. Wow. So cool. It's like seeing an alien, right?
We found this group of infantry soldiers in week 11 of their training, practicing on the firing range.
Ooh,
The
look at
mood
that.
was much more relaxed.
Try to get 8 up on my level.
I mean, I understand why it's more relaxed. I mean, I don't know if it's good training if someone's yelling at you when you have, at first, when you're training at least, right? When you've never shot a gun before, right? And someone's yelling at you in the ear. I mean, you're going to build up resentment. And if you ever seen Full Metal Jacket, you know where that leads. I can understand to simulate combat, you have to yell. Because in combat, you can't hear each other, and you have comms probably. But you know, you have to yell to each other as
Their
well.
conversations with their drill sergeants are conducted at normal volumes, like when this drill sergeant educated the recruits on the meaning of the military expression 8 up.
Is a piece of 8 up gum good? You don't want something that's 8 up, right? You want something fresh. You break the seal, smells like olive oil, right? Okay.
That dynamic changes because
What?
we want the soldiers to become more critical thinkers. At that point, we are turning into more coaches and mentors. We dial it back a little bit, so we don't want them frightened. We want them to be comfortable and in a state of mind that is receptive to learning and performing at that level.
I guess that's fair enough.
Up to 241 hours of infantry OSIT are devoted to marksmanship, where recruits fire about 2,500 rounds using the M4 carbine, as well as the M249 squad automatic weapon, or SAW.
Right.
We create lethality. We create expert marksmen at their individual weapons, because as an infantry soldier, that's what we're asking them to do.
I mean, that's fair enough. They're asking them to do this in the future, whatever, and they train for that, and that's that. That makes sense. Right? Now, here we go. Gas chamber.
Recruits get one of the most painful parts of training.
I don't know if they've got rid of this in every branch. I hope not.
You will not touch your pro-mat.
This group of
Why is she
infantry
fat?
recruits was exposed to CS gas, or tear gas,
Uh-oh.
in week 1 of their training.
Something very, again, historical connection here. Tear gas. I might be wrong. Comment down below if I'm wrong. But I think tear gas was the first gas ever used in World War I by the French on the Germans. Right? I don't know. It probably didn't do that much damage. Yeah, they go hurt in the eye. Maybe someone died. I don't know. Because again, the famous thing is that Germans used gas for the first time against, what was the French or something in World War I. That gas was the gas that could have killed someone, lethal gas, but tear gas isn't lethal in that sense, right? Just a little nugget there.
Until we tell you to stop. You're gonna place your back against the wall.
The recruits spend about 5 minutes inside the gas hut.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Upon exiting
Birds?
the gas hut, the recruits are told to flap their arms like birds
Okay.
to remove excess gas from their uniforms. According to a
Do you think you do this when there's actually a gas attack? When was the last time there was a gas attack against, let's say, the US Army? Do you think they would ever flap their arms when there was a gas attack? I don't think so. But I understand during training, and it's the first time. I understand. And I think it's good that they have a gas chamber. I don't know if every military in the world has a gas chamber in the boot camp for any branch of army or branch of military, right? I think it's good. Just because, again, when was the last time was a gas attack on the military? I mean, if they're ever going to be a gas attack, it's probably going to be against civilians, sadly, right? So, but it's good that they have at least one time experienced that, right?
drill sergeant, the effects of the gas begin to wear off after about 4 minutes. Some training moves indoors, like combatives, where recruits learn hand-to-hand self-defense tactics.
We're trying to teach them to achieve a dominant body position. So get out of one negative position and then switch roles so they end up having the upper hand in a fight.
I think this is good because jiu-jitsu or martial arts period is good for the military, I'd say. For the army, yeah, very good. However, if you're ever in combat and you have to use jiu-jitsu on an enemy, not a civilian or a supposed enemy, suspected enemy, a guy with a gun, and you do that, he could have a knife and then you're near him and he's just gonna stab you. I mean, I don't know, or he has a bomb on him, a vest, or just a frag grenade, whatever, right? I mean, again, same with the gas chamber. It's good to do it sometimes, to just have it back in the back of your head, but it's good exercise, no doubt. And it's good for your limbs, good for your hand-eye coordination, all that. But practical use in combat scenarios, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Because again, if you ever come close to an enemy like that and have to use that, then you lost the battle somehow, right? I mean, the enemy has come too close to you or something. Even in close quarter combat or battle, you use your gun you might have a knife on you, and it's good to know jiu-jitsu or another martial art technique, right? But okay.
During combatives training, recruits
That looks
warm
tough.
up with a particularly painful-looking exercise, referred to as the EO. While laying on their backs, they have to engage their core to wiggle across the
Yeah, that looks
entire
tough.
room.
Yep.
They use their momentum, shoulder blades, their core to help them create space, warm up the body.
Recruits work up a major appetite during training. But Fort Benning is big, and they're not
Okay.
always within range of the dining facility. When they're training in the field, recruits are issued MREs, which stands for Meal Ready to Eat. Each comes with an entree, like this vegetarian pasta with taco sauce,
That looks
along
disgusting.
with an assortment of items like mixed fruit, an energy bar, and this instant
Nice.
French vanilla cappuccino. Recruits just add
What?
water, shake it up, and enjoy. Once they're fortified, recruits return to their training. Recruits spend up to
Wow.
60 hours in training known as MOUT, which stands for Military Operations.
Again, where is these guys? I know nothing about this. But these guys in the back. What is the tactic here? Because again, our enemy could be behind the guy in the back. And the guy in the middle, what is he doing? He's doing nothing. If a guy is shooting and the guy in the front gets hit, I mean, what? I know nothing.
In urban terrain.
Door left.
One man calls door left.
Infantrymen are expected to fight in different types of terrain and survive and win the fight. Right now, they are getting their first taste of what that's like in an urban environment.
Rolling T.
Right.
All right, coming up.
And this is, again, to make a history connection here, although this is history, but you know, you have to stretch that truth out sometimes, right? But to make a history connection here, do you think the military 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago did this? I don't think so. Because the US military and allies learned, I mean allies and enemies to the allies, the West, right? Learned in, well, Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever, right? That this is how to fight against terrorists. This is not conventional, right? Special forces use this, but more, well, much faster and maybe even smaller environments, right? And more hostile, right? But this is good. Although, this is just one part of the army, right? But a problem you can have with only focusing on close quarter battles or combat is that the conventional side, you'll lose veterans who were in battles, in conventional battles, right? And you'll lose that knowledge, right? But that's how it is. That's the military, right? Soon as you have a new technology in the military, a new gun, a new thing to a gun, whatever, and use it in practical battles, let's say, and test it out, it's obsolete because something else is in the works that's going to probably be superior to that one, right? That's always technology, right? Maybe not now, but you know, it's coming.
Operations across Afghanistan, Iraq, we are
Right.
conducting clearance operations, and it's applicable wherever we go.
See, that's better. That guy's looking behind them, the guy in the front's looking, and the other guy is the second, right? That makes sense. But they're training.
It's important for the future soldiers' muscle memory because they are working as a team with minimal communication, and they have to understand how that coordination works together.
Do it again.
After 22 weeks of training, these infantrymen are ready to leave Fort Benning.
Okay.
Friends and family gather to watch their soldiers graduate on NOA Field.
They look like soldiers, they act like soldiers, they're carrying their head high. I have trainees
Right.
that were not alive when 9/11 happened. I think that's pretty powerful, that I
Exactly.
still can find American citizens that want to volunteer to serve their country when we continue to ask them to go to combat.
Yeah, that's fair.
These new infantrymen don't have long to greet their loved ones.
Uh-oh.
Get on the bus!
Or say goodbye to their friends before leaving Fort Benning to begin their service in the United States Army.
Wow. Why is the bus damaged in the back? Alright. That was a pretty good video. I mean, it didn't look as terrible as I thought it was, but again, this was 3 or 4 years ago, so now I don't even know, right? Now I don't know anything. Leave a comment down below of what all the things that I said, if you agree or disagree. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.